What's up, guys? Welcome to the Being Beautifully Honest podcast and channel. Thanks so much for being here, for being subscribed. If you're not, go ahead and hit that button. If you're listening on YouTube, hit that like button. It's like walking in the room and hitting that light switch. Let's brighten up the place and get into this reality chat. All right, so listen, guys. I was thinking about it because, when Keke came on the show, initially, she came on as one of Melody's guests at her holiday sleepover shindig that she was having at her house. And Melody invited Keke. She invited Stormy, Tiffany, Kimmy, and Kiki. There may have been other people there that I just don't really remember, but we know that she did not invite Tisha. They were not in a good place at the time. And so Kimmy thought that it was weird that Kiki was there, and she also took it upon herself to go and speak to Tisha to, in my personal opinion, stir the pot, to just make it seem like Melody had Keke over but didn't invite you over, and Keke was just spending the whole time spreading information about Tisha's marriage to Melody and the other ladies, you know what I mean? And I really didn't see that as being the case. And I never spoke about that, but because I didn't really do these deep dives into the show like that before, and I still don't really do a whole lot of deep dives. I take in and observe a lot when I do get the opportunity to watch the show, and there's just a lot that I see that I really do not like. So if I want to address some things and I get the opportunity to, I will do that. But I'm really just now getting around to doing that because I witnessed it, I watched it, and I didn't like it last season because, in my opinion, I just really felt like Kimmy was trying to drive this deeper wedge that was already there between Keke and Tisha by just making it seem like Keke is in this club of people that apparently Tisha believes that are just out there gathering in hopes that her marriage fails. And I really find that comical because I do believe, even though there are a lot of people that don't care for Tisha and Marsau collectively and individually, most of us really just don't care. Let's just be real. Whether she stays or leaves, most of us really do not care about their marriage. But what is interesting, as well as a bit insulting to a lot of people, is the fact that she, meaning Tisha, tries to portray that because she and Marsau have been married for a lot of years and they have all of this skin on the game, that people need to put respect on their marriage. And a lot of us just don't feel that way. And secondly, and in my personal opinion, most importantly, because this really annoyed the crap out of me and it was insulting, was when Melody was married and she was going through the things that she was going through, I really did feel like Tisha was wanting to one-up Melody in a way to say, well, you might be going through that, but I've never dealt with anything like that in my marriage. And when Melody was, in my personal opinion, just letting her know that, look, your husband may not be as innocent as you think he is. I'm not going to give you every single thing from A to Z when it comes to him, but don't be so naive. That's what my feelings were with regards to Melody and the innuendos that she was putting out there about this marriage and Marsau. Tisha refused to accept it, receive it, believe it, vision it, whatever. And that's fine. You know what I mean? But don't try to throw salt in Melody's wound of what she was going through with her marriage by making it seem like, you know, you're no good nigga. I mean, pretty much is out here buying vehicles for his side chick, and and she was like throwing it up in her face. And what woman, married or unmarried, let's just be real, but especially when you're married and you want the best for your marriage, would say some things like that to another wife at the time and think that that's okay, whether it was true or not. It just wasn't cool, because you wouldn't want someone to do that to you. So I believe that's a lot of the reasons as to why a lot of people just don't care for her. It's not that we're trying, I don't even want to say we're, but I'm just basically saying the collective of people who do either share or give commentary about them, or just people who watch the show in general that don't really care for her. It's like, yeah, these are the things that people see about you that they just really don't like. It's not that we're out here rooting for her marriage to fail, because we honestly really don't care. But she's the one that has tried to put on this persona of marriage being a great thing. And I'm not saying that marriage can't be great. Marriage can be amazing when it's with the right person. And obviously hers is not, because she's not with a great person. He might be the greatest person for her, to be honest with you. I don't know, because I can't even really say that she deserves somebody better, because you really have to, this thing about my better half, or I found the person that completes me or whatever. All of that stuff is BS. And it's not your spouse's job to make you happy. You really have to make yourself happy. You have to have two happy people, two complete people that decide to make this union work and live life together, enjoying it together, working through it, going through the good times and the bad times. Because like I've said over and over again, marriage isn't supposed to be hard. Life can be hard, but marriage isn't supposed to be hard. If you choose to get married to someone and all of those wedding vows that a lot of people don't really take seriously, and I get it, because a lot of people, they just get into marriage for the sake of having the wedding and to have an event, to have an amazing ring, to now in these days have the perfect pictures and showcase on social media and all that bullshit. It's like, when you choose to get married to someone, the thick and the thin, the better for the worse, the richer, the poorer, it's supposed to be because life can throw things upon you that can be hard, that you cannot explain. You may not be able to prevent. It may have been beyond your control. And so you choose to go through these things together, not just being with a no good ass nigga who is just disparaging, misogynistic, narcissistic, treats you as you're a servant, you're beneath them, all of these different things like that, and just a multitude of other things. Who needs that? You might as well be single. And I'm speaking from someone who has been married for 25 years. If it had to be like that, I would just be single. You know what I'm saying? So, and I don't even go around bragging about how many years I've been married or whatever, because it really doesn't make a difference. You know what I mean? I just believe that she tries to use the years of her marriage as a bragging right, and it really shouldn't be. It's not a flex. It really isn't a flex. You know what I mean? It's like not saying it's the exact same scenario, but who wants to brag about being in prison for a lot of years? You would rather have freedom, I would think. I think anyone would choose one day of freedom over one day of being in prison. No one wants to be in prison, period. So, I say all of that to say, when Kimmy and Maurice were having their confessionals and they were talking about things, you know what I mean? And I heard Maurice say, it's a husband's job to correct his wife when she's in the wrong. It's like, what the heck is he talking about? Like, he was speaking like this really is a husband's duty to check their wife. But you see, we're speaking about the so-called men of Huntsville. So him saying something like that is not a far stretch, because he and his brother and Hotel and the likes of dudes like that, they really do believe that. And Kimmy actually sat there and agreed with him when he said that. I was like, yeah, this makes a whole lot of sense as to why you're in a marriage with this bum. But you know what I mean? That's how they feel. That's how they believe. That's okay for you, but it's not the truth. And going back to Kimmy and Kiki, I don't believe Kimmy ever really liked Kiki, because from the time that we saw, at least, Melody and her having the holiday sleepover and Kiki being there, and she was just not really here for it, as to one, why Kiki was even there, and two, hearing anything that Kiki might have been saying about Tisha and Marsau, even though it wasn't like Kiki was just sitting there just, girl, let me tell you about, it wasn't like that. She was asked some questions, which the answers were accurate, and it wasn't even her being messy. She was basically saying, and I felt like she was trying to, at that time, be careful and pull back and not, really say too much. She was like, well, yeah, Kiki Kiki said, yeah, Tisha definitely has had some questions and insecurities about, her relationship and her marriage. I mean, could she have been like this extremely bigger person to say, I don't really care to discuss that at this moment? Listen, of course she could have, but let's just be real. As much as people like to say, yeah, Melody brought Kiki on the show for this reason. She wanted her to go after Tisha and Marsau's marriage, or she wanted her to be messy. I don't believe that, but we have to know that the producers, okay, even though Melody is an executive producer, I don't believe that she is doing things like that for the sake of drama for the show. Yeah, she is in on what's going to be good television for the ratings, because if people are not watching, no one's going to be talking about it. And then before you know it, the show's going to be canceled. And who even knows how much longer this show has anyway? But yeah, they know that Kiki knows things about Tisha and Marsau. So do you think that they didn't want her to be on the show for those reasons? So for her to come in there and not just say anything at all, she wouldn't have been doing her job. You know what I'm saying? So from then up until now, to see how Kimmy was like, in my personal opinion, I don't feel like she had to be that way with Kiki. I felt like she really shoved her. And then when she was talking about Kiki and talking about how she was just like shaking, she was having tremors, she was insinuating that Kiki might have been high. So she literally was sitting there agreeing with everything that Marsau was saying. And I felt like that was extremely disrespectful. But again, we're talking about someone who doesn't really like Kiki. I don't believe that she really ever liked Kiki from what we can see. And let's just be real. The only reason why she is around Tisha is because she is tolerating her for the sake of her husband. Because Kimmy, a few seasons ago on a reunion, she came out and said, if it were not for me being in a relationship with Tisha's husband's, my husband's, who is Tisha's husband's, brother, no, we would not be friends. So she doesn't even really like Tisha, but she tolerates Tisha for the sake of her husband and the relationship and the marriage that she is in. And she's kind of gotten more into the sunken place over the time and length of their relationship. But yeah, I just don't believe that Kimmy really likes Kiki. She really wanted that smoke with Kiki because she just doesn't like her. And so if you wanted to say, look, it's getting heated, I just think you and your husband, need to just go home, have a great rest of the evening, cool down, chill out, yada, yada. But for her to shove Kiki the way that she did, it wasn't like Kiki was swinging on anybody or whatever. It did not have to be like that. Marsau was saying things that were really triggering her, saying you need to call the police and get her drug tested. Her response, I don't have an issue with that. She didn't spit in Marsau's face. She didn't throw bricks or items or anything in his or anyone's direction for that matter. Yes, she tossed the drink, but for him to insinuate she must be high because she did that. Do you know how many people in the world have thrown drinks in people's faces that have never touched a drug? Some of them never even had alcohol. But I'm just saying, him sitting there saying things like, well, only high people do stuff like that. And Kimmy sitting there and agreeing with that dumb statement was just absolutely ridiculous to me. But yeah, when you're married to someone who says that it's a husband's place to check their wife when they're in the wrong, you're really just, you're just really low. And I don't have really much for her. And it's sad because I'm just going to say this. I feel like a lot of people really just wanted to be on her side because of the health battle that she was going through, but wishing her well, definitely not wishing any harm or hurt on her in terms of her health, but it just really makes people not really want to root for her anymore, because when you say and do things like this, it just really makes people question, like, who is Kimmy at this point? Who is Kimmy? Is this who she really is? Or has she changed a good bit because of this this marriage that she has settled in and is sticking by this sex maniac? Anyway, guys, let me know your thoughts about this in the comment section. Thank you guys so much for being here, for liking and subscribing. I'm Beth, just being beautifully honest. So until the next time, I wanted to keep it brief, beautiful. And now I'm going to say bye.